Our weapons are not toys, Bruce Hunter shouted as he pulled the trigger, his M4 rifle spitting lead at the advancing Una's warriors. Their energy shields shimmered and crackled, easily absorbing the barrage. Bruce ducked behind cover, his heart pounding. The Una's condescending smirks lingered in his mind, their dismissive attitude towards human technology grating on his nerves. Just hours earlier, Bruce had stood alongside his fellow soldiers in the human embassy on the Una's homeworld, proudly presenting their advanced firearms as a gesture of goodwill. The Una's High Council, led by the arrogant Xanth, had merely scoffed at the primitive weapons, comparing them to children's playthings next to their own energy-based armaments. The tension in the room had been palpable as the humans bristled at the insult, their pride wounded by the aliens' disdain. Now, as an extremist faction of Unas launched a surprise attack on the embassy, Bruce and his comrades found themselves fighting for their lives. The humans' bullets ricocheted harmlessly off the Una's energy shields, while the aliens' weapons sliced through their defenses effortlessly. Men screamed and fell, the smell of blood and burnt flesh choking the air. Bruce gritted his teeth as he saw his friends cut down, their weapons useless against the superior technology. They were outnumbered and outgunned, facing an enemy that viewed them as little more than insects to be crushed. But Bruce was a soldier, a warrior forged in the fires of countless battles. He refused to let his people die without a fight. As the situation grew more desperate, Bruce knew that their only hope lay in finding a weakness in the Una's technology. If they could just buy enough time to infiltrate the aliens' armory, to find a chink in their armor. But the odds were stacked against them, and every second they delayed, more human lives were lost. The fate of the human expeditionary force hung in the balance, their survival dependent on Bruce's ability to lead them through this crisis. They had come to the Una's homeworld seeking peace and cooperation, but now they found themselves locked in a battle for their very existence. The Unas had made a grave mistake in underestimating human resolve, and Bruce swore that he would make them pay dearly for every drop of human blood spilled. In the aftermath of the battle at the human embassy, an uneasy truce settled between the humans and the Unas. The extremist faction had been defeated, but the scars of the conflict ran deep. Bruce Hunter, hailed as a hero by his fellow soldiers, found himself thrust into a new role as the liaison between the two species. The Una's High Council, still reeling from the betrayal of some of their own, reluctantly agreed to the alliance. However, Bruce could feel the tension simmering beneath the surface. Many Unas, even those in positions of power, harbored resentment towards the humans, their pride still wounded by the recent events. Bruce's counterpart, an Unas named Zorak, was a seasoned warrior with a fierce loyalty to his people. Together, they were tasked with maintaining the fragile peace and fostering cooperation between the two races. As part of their duties, Bruce and Zorak embarked on a routine inspection of a joint human-Unas military outpost on a remote planet. The outpost, a symbol of the new alliance, was meant to serve as a bulwark against any future threats. However, as they explored the facility, Bruce's instincts told him that something was amiss. He and Zorak delved deeper into the outpost's lower levels, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. What they discovered sent a chill down Bruce's spine. Hidden beneath the outpost was a secret Una's weapons facility, its existence known only to a select few. Bruce and Zorak watched in horror as Una's scientists, led by Kazaral, Xanth's former right-hand man, worked on a new, terrifying energy weapon capable of obliterating entire planets. Bruce and Zorak knew they had to act fast. They attempted to retreat and report their findings to the Una's High Council, but as they made their way back to the surface, they were ambushed by Kazral's loyalists. The firefight was brutal. Energy beams sizzled through the air, scorching the walls and filling the corridors with the acrid smell of burnt metal. Bruce and Zorak fought side by side, their skills put to the ultimate test. In the chaos of the battle, Zorak was hit, his body crumpling to the ground. Bruce rushed to his ally's side, but Zorak waved him off, his voice strained. "Go, Hunter. Get the intel to the council. Don't let my sacrifice be in vain." With a heavy heart, Bruce retreated, leaving his wounded comrade behind. He managed to escape the facility, his knees going weak from the betrayal and the knowledge of the devastating weapon that now posed a threat to the entire galaxy. As he made his way back to friendly territory, Bruce knew he couldn't trust anyone within the Una's government. The rot of corruption and hatred ran deep. With no other choice, he contacted his human superiors, requesting immediate backup and relaying the dire situation. Time was running out. Bruce learned through intercepted communications that Kazral planned to test the new weapon on a heavily populated Unas colony world. It was a show of power, a twisted attempt to reignite the conflict between humans and Unas and seize control in the ensuing chaos. Bruce knew he had to act fast. With reinforcements still on the way, he made the decision to infiltrate the weapons facility alone. The fate of countless lives hung in the balance, and he was the only one who could stop Kazral before it was too late. Infiltrating the facility was no easy task, but Bruce's years of training and experience served him well. He managed to slip past the guards and make his way to the heart of the complex, where he confronted Kazral. The battle was fierce, a dance of death between Bruce's tactical expertise and Kazral's advanced weaponry. The hope of the universe hung in the balance as they clashed, energy beams and bullets filling the air. In the end, Bruce emerged victorious, his skills and determination proving superior to Kazral's treachery. He destroyed the prototype weapon, but not before Kazral revealed a chilling truth. The weapons were already being mass-produced at a secret location. As Unas and human reinforcements finally arrived at the facility, Bruce shared the disturbing revelation. The Unas High Council, faced with the undeniable evidence of the threat posed by Kazral and his followers, pledged their full cooperation in tracking down and eliminating the remaining weapons. Bruce, now hailed as a hero by both humans and Unas, found himself at the helm of a joint task force. Their mission, to hunt down Kazral and his loyalists, destroy the secret production facility, and prevent an all-out war that could tear the galaxy apart. The stage was set for a galaxy-spanning mission, with Bruce Hunter leading the charge. The fragile peace between humans and Unas hung in the balance, and failure was not an option. Bruce knew that the road ahead would be long and treacherous, but he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For the sake of both their species, they had to succeed. Bruce Hunter stood on the bridge of the UNS Intrepid, scanning star charts and sensor readouts. For weeks, the joint Human-Unas task force had chased leads across the galaxy, hunting Kazral and his hidden weapons facilities. "Commander, incoming transmission," the comms officer called out. It's from Zorak." Bruce's head snapped up. "That's impossible. Put it through." The view screen flickered to life, revealing the scarred face of his Unas counterpart. "Hunter, I don't have much time. I survived the ambush, been tracking Kazral, found his main facility, sending coordinates now." Before Bruce could respond, the transmission cut out. He stared at the blinking coordinates on his display, hope and suspicion warring within him. "Set a course," he ordered. "But stay alert. This could be a trap." Hours later, the task force dropped out of FTL at the designated coordinates. For a moment, all seemed quiet. Then space itself erupted in green fire. "Evasive maneuvers!" Bruce shouted as a fleet of Una's warships decloaked around them. Energy beams lanced out, slicing through Allied ships like paper. The bridge rocked violently as the Intrepid took multiple hits. Sparks flew from consoles as crew members scrambled to return fire. "Shields failing!" someone yelled. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 7. Bruce gripped his chair, watching helplessly as friendly ships exploded all around them. "We need to retreat. All ships, fall back to—" A massive impact cut him off, throwing him to the floor. Alarms blared as the deck tilted sharply. "We're going down!" the helmsman shouted. "Brace for impact!" The planet's surface rushed up to meet them. Bruce's world dissolved into fire and screaming metal. He awoke to acrid smoke and the groans of dying machinery. Dragging himself from the wreckage, Bruce surveyed the alien landscape. Twisted vines and strange rock formations stretched as far as he could see. No sign of the other ships, no sign of survivors. Bruce checked his gear. sidearm, combat knife, half-depleted medkit. It would have to do. He set out across the hostile terrain, keeping low to avoid Kazral's patrols. For days he trekked through the alien wilderness, rationing supplies and dodging search parties. More than once he barely escaped detection by diving into fetid swamps or scaling treacherous cliffs. On the fifth day, Bruce stumbled upon a group of natives, reptilian creatures with 4 arms and bioluminescent markings. They regarded him warily at first, but when he mimed Kazral's cruelty, their demeanor changed. They led him to a hidden cavern where other resistance fighters gathered. There, Bruce finally reunited with Zorak. The Unas warrior bore new scars, but his eyes still burned with the same fierce grit. "It is good to see you alive, my friend," Zorak said, clasping Bruce's arm. "Come, we have much to discuss." Zorak outlined his guerrilla campaign against Kazral's forces. With the help of the native resistance, they had mapped out the weapons facility's defenses. "We strike tonight," Zorak declared. "Are you with us?" Bruce nodded grimly. "Let's finish this." Under cover of darkness, they approached the sprawling facility. Bruce and Zorak led the assault, fighting their way through automated turrets and armored guards. They battled room by room, corridor by corridor. Human and Unas moved in perfect sync, covering each other's blind spots and exploiting openings. Deep in the facility's heart, they found rows of holding cells. Bruce's blood ran cold as he saw humans and Unas strapped to examination tables, bodies scarred by horrific experiments. "By the stars," Zorak breathed, "what has Kazral done?" Rage fueled their actions as they freed the prisoners and set charges to destroy the facility. But as alarms blared and self-destruct sequences initiated, Kazral himself appeared. The rogue scientist sneered, brandishing a prototype energy cannon. "You're too late. My work will reshape the galaxy." What followed was a brutal 3-way battle. Bruce and Zorak fought in perfect harmony, but Kazral's weapon gave him a deadly edge. Energy blasts scorched the walls as they ducked and weaved, looking for an opening. Finally, a lucky shot from Bruce knocked the cannon from Kazral's grasp. Zorak pounced, pinning the scientist. But even as they subdued him, Kazral laughed maniacally. "Fools, you've triggered the failsafe. This entire planet will burn." Bruce and Zorak shared a look of grim understanding. They had minutes at most. "Go!" Bruce shouted to the freed prisoners. "Get to the escape pods!" They ran through collapsing corridors, half-carrying wounded survivors. The ground shook beneath their feet as they burst out of the facility. Bruce looked back just in time to see the weapons factory erupt in a massive fireball. The shockwave knocked them off their feet as they sprinted for the waiting shuttles. They barely cleared the atmosphere before the planet itself seemed to crack apart, consumed in a cataclysmic blast that lit up space itself. As the ragtag fleet of survivors limped towards the arrival of reinforcements, Bruce and Zorak stood side by side on the bridge of a commandeered shuttle. "We did it," Bruce said softly, "but at what cost?" Zorak placed a hand on his shoulder. "The cost of peace is always high, my friend, but as long as we stand together, there is hope." Bruce nodded, watching the stars streak by. The immediate threat was over, but he knew their greatest challenges still lay ahead. Bruce Hunter sat in the sterile debriefing room, his body aching from the ordeal they'd just survived. Zorak stood beside him, both of them still covered in dust and grime from the exploding facility. "We did it," Bruce said, his voice hollow. "But at what cost?" Before Zorak could respond, the door burst open. An intelligence officer rushed in, data pad in hand. "Commander Hunter, we have a problem," he said, chest heaving. "Kazral escaped. Our sensors picked up a small craft leaving the system just before detonation." Bruce banged his head on the table. "Damn it, we were so close." "We'll find him," Zorak growled, his 4 eyes narrowing. "And this time, we'll finish it." Over the next weeks, Bruce and Zorak pored over intelligence reports, chasing leads across star systems. Finally, a breakthrough. Unusual energy readings from an uncharted moon. Their stealth dropship cut through the inky void of space, a dozen elite operatives prepped for combat. As they approached the barren, cratered surface, Bruce spotted a half-hidden entrance to an underground facility. "This is it," he whispered. "Weapons hot. We go in fast and hard." The moment their boots hit the ground, all hell broke loose. Automated turrets sprang to life, spewing plasma bolts. Bruce dove behind a rocky outcropping, returning fire. "Push forward," he shouted over the comms. "We can't let them regroup." They fought their way through twisting corridors, the air thick with ozone and the screams of the wounded. In a cavernous lab, Bruce's blood ran cold. Tubes filled with sickly green fluid lined the walls. Inside floated things, twisted, malformed human bodies. "By the stars," Zorak breathed. "What has he done?" A squad of Kazaral's loyalists burst in, forcing them to take cover. In the chaos of the firefight, Bruce lost sight of Zorak. "Zorak!" he yelled into his comm. "Report!" Static was his only answer. Gritting his teeth, Bruce led his remaining men deeper into the facility. They sabotaged power cores, destroyed data banks, and neutralized pockets of resistance. All the while, Bruce's worry for his friend grew. Finally, they reached the central chamber. Kazaral stood there, a cruel smile on his face and a strange device in his hand. "Ah, the great Bruce Hunter," he sneered. "Too late, as usual. My greatest work is already complete." "It's over, Kazaral," Bruce snarled, leveling his weapon. "Surrender now." "Oh, I don't think so," Kazaral laughed. "You see, I've already won. My pathogen is released. Even now, it spreads through a human colony world. Millions will die, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." White-hot rage flooded Bruce's veins. His finger tightened on the trigger. Suddenly, Zorak burst into the room, battered but alive. "Bruce, wait! We need him!" Bruce's hand shook. Every fiber of his being screamed to end this monster. But Zorak was right. With a roar of frustration, he slammed the butt of his rifle into Kazaral's face, dropping him to the floor. "Cuff him," Bruce spat. "We've got work to do." They raced back to Alliance space, Kazaral secured in the brig. Bruce's mind reeled with the enormity of what they faced. A deadly pathogen, an entire world at risk. And the only one who could save them was the madman who caused it all. Bruce knew what he had to do. As they prepped the antidote, he volunteered to lead the mission to the infected world. It was a suicide run, but he couldn't ask anyone else to take that risk. "I'm going with you," Zorak said, his voice brooking no argument. Bruce nodded, grateful for his friend's unwavering loyalty. Together, they would face this final challenge. And maybe, just maybe, they could forge a lasting peace from the ashes of this conflict. Bruce Hunter stood before the UNA's High Council, his face etched with fatigue and the weight of recent events. The chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from both species eyed each other warily. "Commander Hunter," the lead counselor addressed him, "we propose a joint mission to explore newly discovered ruins in uncharted space. This endeavor aims to foster cooperation between our peoples." Bruce's teeth gritted. "With respect, counselor, I've seen enough death and destruction. I'm not sure I'm the right person for this." Zorak stepped forward, placing a hand on Bruce's shoulder. "My friend, I understand your hesitation, but this is our chance to build something positive from the ashes of conflict." Bruce looked into his ally's four eyes, seeing the same weariness reflected back. He sighed, nodding reluctantly. "All right, I'm in." Over the next weeks, they assembled their team. Humans and Unas worked side by side, an uneasy alliance forged by necessity. Bruce watched as Emma Vance, a young archaeologist with bright eyes and a quick mind, pored over star charts and ancient texts. "This is incredible," Emma exclaimed, pointing to a holographic display. "These ruins could predate our civilizations by millions of years." As their ship, the Stargazer, cruised through the inky void of unexplored space, Bruce felt a familiar knot of tension in his gut. He stood on the bridge, watching the stars streak by. Suddenly alarms blared. "Commander!" the sensor officer shouted. Massive structure detected ahead. The view screen flickered to life, revealing an enormous construct hanging in space. It dwarfed their ship, a sprawling maze of alien architecture orbiting a dead star. "By the ancestors," Zorak breathed. Bruce's voice was steady as he gave the order. "Prep the boarding team. We're going in." They docked with the construct, the airlock hissing as it equalized pressure. Bruce led the way, weapon at the ready. The interior was a maze of twisting corridors and cavernous chambers, filled with technology beyond their comprehension. Emma ran her hand over a wall covered in intricate symbols. "This language, it's unlike anything I've ever seen, but there are patterns. Give me time and I can crack it." As they pressed deeper into the construct, Bruce felt a growing sense of unease. The air hummed with latent energy, as if the entire structure was holding its breath. Without warning, the floor beneath them shuddered. Lights flared to life, and a piercing wail filled the air. "We've triggered something," Zorak shouted. From hidden compartments, swarms of metallic creatures poured forth. They moved with terrifying speed and precision, their bodies shifting and reconfiguring as they attacked. Bruce's plasma rifle spat blue fire, but the bolts seemed to have little effect. "Fall back," he ordered. "Conventional weapons are useless." They retreated, the relentless machines in pursuit. Emma worked frantically at a control panel, her fingers flying over alien symbols. "If I can just... there!" A force field snapped into place, buying them precious moments. Bruce turned to Zorak, his mind racing. "We need to overload the power core. It might disable these things." Zorak nodded grimly. "A risky plan, but it's our only shot." They fought their way to the heart of the construct, Emma's expertise guiding them through the labyrinth. In the central chamber, a pulsing orb of energy hung suspended. "Cover me," Bruce ordered, approaching the core. As he worked to overload the systems, the chamber shook violently. Cracks spiderwebbed across the walls and ceiling. "Bruce," Zorak called out, "we must leave now." But it was too late. The entrance collapsed, trapping them inside as the construct began to tear itself apart. Outside, Emma and the remaining team members watched in horror as sections of the alien structure began to implode. "We have to get them out," Emma shouted, her hands flying over the controls of their shuttle. A new voice crackled over the comms. "This is Captain Vex Salor of the Unas warship Retribution. Stand down and prepare to be boarded. That alien technology belongs to us now." Emma's eyes widened as she saw the hostile Unas ship decloak nearby. Time was running out, and they were caught between a collapsing alien construct and a group of extremists hell-bent on seizing its secrets. Inside the failing structure, Bruce and Zorak huddled behind a fallen column, watching as ancient defense systems and Unas extremists battled for control. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, with only their wits and Emma's brilliance standing between them and annihilation. Bruce Hunter's boots hit the deck of the Stargazer with a dull thud. His muscles ached, and dried blood caked his armor. Zorak limped beside him, one of his 4 eyes swollen shut. They'd survived, but at a steep cost. Emma Vance rushed to meet them, her face etched with concern. "The artifacts are secure in the lab. We've already begun analysis." Before Bruce could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A frantic voice crackled over the intercom. "Commander Hunter, urgent distress call from Outpost Theta 9. Bruce sprinted to the bridge, Zorak and Emma on his heels. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a scene of chaos. Plasma bolts streaked across the sky, cutting through defensive shields. Strange insectoid ships swarmed the outpost. "What the hell are those?" Bruce breathed. A panicked transmission cut through the static. "This is Dr. Reeves at Theta 9. We're under attack by unknown hostiles. They've breached the perimeter. We need immediate evac." The transmission cut off abruptly. Bruce's eyes sharp. "How soon can we get there?" 6 hours at maximum burn, the pilot replied. "Make it 5, Bruce ordered. He turned to Zorak and Emma. "Prep a strike team. We're going in hot." The next hours passed in a blur of preparations. Bruce pored over schematics of the outpost, planning their assault. Emma worked feverishly, modifying their weapons with insights gleaned from the alien artifacts. As they approached Theta 9, the true scale of the invasion became clear. The Kra'ath ships, angular and dripping with weapons, effortlessly tore through the outpost's defenses. "All hands, brace for combat drop," Bruce shouted as their shuttle plummeted through the atmosphere. They hit the ground running, plasma bolts sizzling past their ears. Bruce fired his modified rifle, the strange energy tearing through a Kra'ath warrior's carapace. "Push to the central complex," Bruce yelled over the din of battle. "There might be survivors." They fought street by street, building by building. The Kra'ath were relentless, their mandibles clicking as they swarmed forward. Bruce watched in horror as a young soldier was impaled on a Kra'ath's chitinous arm. Finally, they reached the central complex. Bruce blasted the door controls, sealing them inside. A handful of terrified researchers huddled in the corner. "Status report," Bruce barked. Dr. Reeves stepped forward, his lab coat splattered with blood. "They came out of nowhere. Our weapons barely scratched them, but I think I know what they're after." Emma's eyes widened. "The artifact we found in the ruins, you have one here?" Reeves nodded. "In the secure vault, but—" An earth-shattering explosion rocked the complex. Through the viewport, Bruce saw a massive Kra'ath ship descending. "They're going for the vault," Bruce realized. "Zorak, with me. Emma, keep these people alive." Bruce and Zorak fought their way to the vault, using every trick and tactic they'd learned. But when they arrived, their hearts sank. The vault door had been torn open effortlessly. A bone-chilling screech filled the air. Bruce spun to see a colossal Kra'ath, easily twice his size, clutching the artifact. Without hesitation, he charged. The battle was brutal and swift. Bruce and Zorak moved in perfect sync, covering each other's blind spots. Bruce's enhanced strength met the Kra'ath's natural armor. Zorak's agility countered the alien's reach. With a final, desperate lunge, Bruce plunged his vibroblade into a chink in the Kra'ath's armor. The creature fell, the artifact clattering to the floor. But their victory was short-lived. The ship lurched violently, claxons blaring. "We've lost attitude control," Emma's voice crackled over the comm. "This whole ship is going down." Bruce scooped up the artifact. "Time to go!" They ran through twisting corridors, the ship groaning around them. They reached the hangar bay just as the artificial gravity failed. Bruce leapt, pushing off walls and debris, clutching the artifact to his chest. Their shuttle broke free moments before the Kra'ath ship smashed into the planet's surface. As they rocketed back to orbit, Bruce saw the remaining Kra'ath forces in disarray, retreating from the outpost. Hours later, as medics tended to the wounded, Bruce stared at the artifact. Its surface pulsed with an otherworldly light. "What is this thing?" he wondered aloud. "And why were the Kra'ath so desperate to get it?" Emma joined him, her eyes gleaming with curiosity. "I don't know, but I intend to find out." Bruce Hunter's boots crunched on the debris-strewn ground as he surveyed the chaos engulfing the human colony. Makeshift shelters dotted the landscape, their flimsy walls shuddering with each seismic tremor. The air crackled with an unnatural energy, sending shivers down his spine. "This is worse than we thought," Zorak muttered, his four eyes scanning the horizon. Emma Vance nodded grimly, her fingers flying over a datapad. "The atmospheric readings are off the charts. We need to move fast." They made their way to the colony's command center, a reinforced bunker barely holding together. Inside, haggard-looking officials huddled around flickering holographic displays. "Commander Hunter," the colony's governor greeted them, his voice strained. "Thank God you're here. We're at our breaking point." Bruce wasted no time. "We need access to your geological survey data. There's more going on here than meets the eye." As Emma pored over the data, her eyes widened. "Bruce, look at this," she whispered, pointing to an anomaly deep beneath the colony. "It can't be," Zorak breathed, leaning in close. Bruce's expression resolute. "Gather a team. We're going down there." Hours later, they stood before a hidden entrance, seamlessly integrated into the rocky terrain. Bruce placed his hand on the alien metal, feeling a faint vibration. "Everyone stay sharp," he ordered as they entered the facility. The air inside was thick with an otherworldly hum. Strange symbols adorned the walls, pulsing with an inner light. Emma ran her fingers over the markings, her face a mix of awe and fear. "This technology, it's identical to what we found in the construct," she whispered. They pressed deeper into the labyrinth, each turn revealing new wonders and terrors. In a vast chamber, they found the source of the disturbances, a colossal energy core, its surface rippling like liquid metal. "We need to shut it down," Bruce said, approaching a nearby console. The moment his fingers touched the controls, alarms blared. The air shimmered as dozens of drones materialized, their weapons primed. "Get down!" Bruce yelled, diving for cover as energy bolts sizzled overhead. The team fought desperately, but their weapons proved ineffective against the drone's advanced shielding. One by one, Bruce watched his soldiers fall. "Fall back!" he roared, providing covering fire as the survivors retreated. Back on the surface, Bruce banged his hand against a table. "We need a new plan." Emma's eyes lit up. "The artifact, it's our only chance." With time running out, Bruce led a small team back into the facility. He clutched the alien artifact, feeling its power thrumming through his body. As they approached the core chamber, the artifact pulsed. Nearby security panels deactivated, allowing them passage. "It's working," Zorak said, his voice filled with wonder. They reached the core, its energy output increasing by the second. Emma rushed to a control panel, her fingers dancing over alien symbols. "Bruce, this isn't just a power source," she called out, her voice tight with fear. "It's terraforming the entire planet." Before Bruce could respond, the chamber doors exploded inward. A group of Una's warriors stormed in, led by a scarred veteran Bruce recognized as one of Kazaral's lieutenants. "Step away from the controls," the Una's leader snarled. "This power belongs to us now." Bruce raised his weapon, Zorak at his side. The artifact hummed in his grip, a silent promise of untapped potential. With the fate of the colony hanging in the balance, he knew the real battle was only beginning. Bruce Hunter's eyes narrowed as he studied the artifact, its surface pulsing with an otherworldly light. The chamber hummed with tension, the air thick with the scent of ozone and sweat. "Emma, what have you found?" Bruce asked, his voice low and tense. Emma Vance looked up from her array of holographic displays, her face pale. It's a transmitter, Bruce. An incredibly powerful one. The signal it's capable of producing could reach across vast stretches of space." Zorak leaned in, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "Are you certain?" Emma nodded, her fingers dancing across the controls. "I've never seen anything like it. The complexity, the power, it's beyond anything we've encountered." Bruce reached out, his hand hovering over the artifact's smooth surface. "We need to understand how it works. Can you—" His words cut off as his fingers brushed against the device. A low thrumming filled the air, building in intensity. The artifact's glow intensified, pulsing in rhythmic waves. "What's happening?" Zorak demanded, stepping back. Emma's eyes widened in horror. "It's activating. The transmission sequence. We've triggered it." Bruce lunged for the artifact, but it was too late. A beam of energy shot upward, passing through the ceiling as if it wasn't there. The ground beneath their feet trembled. "Shut it down!" Bruce shouted, but Emma was already working frantically at her console. "I can't!" she cried. "The signal! It's already gone!" Days passed in a blur of tension and frantic activity. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Strange gravitational distortions, spatial anomalies appearing and disappearing without warning. Bruce stood on the bridge of the Stargazer, staring at a holographic map dotted with red warning indicators. Zorak approached, his steps heavy. "The reports keep coming in," Zorak said. "Whatever that signal did, it's affecting systems across the entire sector." Bruce nodded grimly. "We need to investigate. Assemble a task force. Our best ships, our brightest minds." The joint Human-Una's fleet moved out, probing the anomalies. What they found chilled Bruce to his core. Ancient gateways, Emma explained, her voice tight with fear. The signal activated them somehow. They're opening paths to, we don't know where. As if in answer to her words, alarms blared across the ship. A nearby officer called out, "Multiple contacts, unknown configurations." Bruce watched in horror as the view screen filled with alien ships pouring through a newly formed spatial rift. Their designs were unlike anything he'd ever seen. Some organic and writhing, others geometric and impossibly sharp. "Battle stations," Bruce roared. "All ships, defensive formation." The space around them erupted in chaos. Energy beams lanced out, tearing through shields and hulls. The human Una's fleet fought back, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Bruce gripped the command chair as the Stargazer shuddered under a barrage of hits. "We can't hold them here. All ships, fall back to Rally Point Alpha." As they retreated, leaving the burning wreckage of their defensive line behind, Bruce exchanged a grim look with Zorak. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" Zorak asked. Bruce nodded, his mind focused. "Whatever we've awakened, it's coming for us all." The next weeks were a blur of desperate battles and hasty retreats. Bruce and Zorak led hit-and-run attacks, striking at the invaders' supply lines and weaker outposts. They used every scrap of knowledge about the ancient alien tech to gain whatever advantage they could. After one particularly brutal engagement, Bruce stood in the war room, surveying the latest intelligence reports. The holographic display showed a sea of red, territory lost to the invaders. Emma burst into the room, her eyes wild. "Bruce, we've decoded more of the artifact's data. It's not just one alien race we're facing. It's dozens, maybe hundreds." Bruce's blood ran cold. "A coalition?" Emma nodded. "The signal, it was like a beacon, drawing them all here." Zorak stepped forward, his expression grim. "And this is just the vanguard. There will be more coming." Bruce stared at the tactical display, his mind racing. They needed a plan, something bold, something the invaders wouldn't expect. "The artifact," he said slowly. "It drew them here. Maybe we can use it to draw them where we want them." Zorak's eyes widened in understanding. "A trap." Bruce nodded, a fierce light in his eyes. "Gather every ship we have left. We're going to make our stand at the heart of this storm." As the combined human Una's fleet assembled, jam-packed with weapons reverse-engineered from the ancient alien tech, Bruce felt the weight of billions of lives on his shoulders. They were the last line of defense against an enemy that threatened to consume the entire galaxy. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, the artifact secured in the Stargazer's hold. As they emerged near the largest spatial anomaly yet detected, Bruce's breath caught in his throat. Before them loomed a colossal alien construct, a mothership of impossible size and complexity. Surrounding it were thousands of alien vessels, a swarm of deadly predators ready to pounce. "All ships," Bruce called out, his voice steady despite the fear clawing at his gut. "Battle formations. This is where we make our stand." The void erupted in a firestorm of energy weapons and explosions. Human and Una's ships fought side by side against the alien horde, every moment a desperate struggle for survival. In the chaos of battle, the Stargazer took a direct hit. Bruce found himself thrown to the deck, alarms blaring all around him. "Hull breach," someone shouted. "We're venting atmosphere." Bruce struggled to his feet, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "Seal off the affected sections. We need to get to that mothership." As he fought his way through the burning corridors, he realized with growing dread that he and Zorak had become separated from the main fleet. They were on their own, about to infiltrate the heart of the alien command structure. Bruce's hand tightened on his weapon as they approached an airlock. There was no going back now. The fate of two civilizations, of the entire galaxy, rested on what they did next. The acrid stench of burning circuits filled Bruce's nostrils as he stumbled through the crumbling alien complex. Emma's limp form burdened immensely in his arms, her breath shallow and ragged. Sweat stung his eyes as he navigated the maze of collapsing corridors, the ground shaking violently beneath his feet. "Stay with me, Emma," he growled, ducking under a shower of sparks from a ruptured power conduit. "We're almost there." A deafening rumble echoed through the facility, and Bruce quickened his pace. The air grew thick with dust and smoke, making each breath a struggle. He rounded a corner and saw it, the exit, a faint glimmer of hellish red light filtering through the cracks. As Bruce approached the massive doors, they suddenly slammed shut with a thunderous crash. He cursed, setting Emma down gently against a nearby wall. His fingers flew over the alien control panel, desperately trying to decipher its cryptic symbols. Come on," he muttered, acutely aware of the precious seconds ticking away. A series of explosions rocked the complex, sending chunks of debris raining down around them. Bruce shielded Emma with his body, feeling the sting of shrapnel against his back. With renewed urgency, he attacked the control panel once more. Suddenly, the doors creaked open, revealing the apocalyptic landscape beyond. Bruce scooped Emma up and charged forward, emerging onto a plain of fractured earth and rivers of molten rock. The sky above churned with swirling clouds of toxic gas, flashes of lightning illuminating the hellscape. "We need extraction," Bruce shouted into his comm unit. "Sending coordinates now." As if in answer to his call, a monstrous shape emerged from the roiling clouds. The alien juggernaut, its massive form overflowing with weaponry. It touched down with earth-shattering force, hydraulics hissing as it oriented on Bruce and Emma. Bruce's mind raced, assessing their options. He activated the alien tech integrated into his armor, feeling the surge of power coursing through his body. With Emma secured, he sprinted across the unstable terrain, narrowly avoiding gouts of superheated gas erupting from fissures in the ground. The juggernaut unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, turning the landscape into a maelstrom of explosions. Bruce zigzagged, using the treacherous terrain to his advantage. He leapt over a chasm, the alien tech enhancing his strength and agility. Landing hard, Bruce spun to face the oncoming behemoth. He raised his arm, the salvaged alien weapon humming to life. Energy crackled along its length as he took aim at the juggernaut's central eye. "Let's see how you like this," Bruce snarled, unleashing a searing beam of concentrated energy. The blast struck home, shattering the juggernaut's ocular sensor in a shower of sparks and molten metal. The war machine staggered, its movements becoming erratic. Seizing the opportunity, Bruce sprinted toward a ridge of fractured rock. The juggernaut recovered, stomping after them with thunderous steps. Bruce's muscles screamed as he pushed himself to the limit, feeling the scorching heat of the juggernaut's weapons fire at his heels. Just as he crested the ridge, a familiar roar filled the air. The stargazer burst through the noxious clouds, its weapons blazing. Multiple beams of energy lanced out, striking the juggernaut with pinpoint accuracy. The massive war machine toppled, crashing to the ground in a cacophony of twisting metal and secondary explosions. Bruce didn't wait to see if it would rise again. He raced toward the stargazer as it hovered mere meters above the disintegrating surface. With a final burst of strength, Bruce leapt, clutching Emma tightly to his chest. They sailed through the air, time seeming to slow as the ship's hangar yawned before them. For a heart-stopping moment, Bruce thought they wouldn't make it. Then strong hands grabbed him, pulling them both to safety as the hangar doors slammed shut. Bruce collapsed to the deck, gasping for breath as the ship rocketed away from the doomed planet. "We did it," he wheezed, looking down at Emma's pale face. "We made it out." As if in response, a colossal explosion lit up the viewports. The Gateway Nexus imploded, taking the entire planet with it in a cataclysmic blast that shook the very fabric of space-time. Bruce watched the destruction unfold, his mind already racing ahead to the challenges that lay before them. They had struck a blow against the invaders, but the war was far from finished. And somewhere out there, the mysterious artifact held the key to it all. The stargazer limped into the docking bay of the Human Unas Alliance headquarters, its hull scorched and battered. As the airlock hissed open, Bruce Hunter stepped out, his face etched with exhaustion and grief. The assembled crowd erupted in cheers, but Bruce barely registered the sound. "We need a medical team now," he shouted, cradling Emma's limp form in his arms. A swarm of medics rushed forward, whisking Emma away on a hover stretcher. Bruce watched them go, his heart heavy with worry. Zorak approached, clasping Bruce's shoulder. "You did it, my friend. We've struck a blow against the invaders." Bruce nodded, his eyes still fixed on the retreating medical team. But at what cost? Days blurred together as Bruce haunted the corridors outside the medical bay. When he wasn't checking on Emma's condition, he found himself drawn to the artifact storage facility. The device that had started it all sat inert on a pedestal, surrounded by a shimmering force field. Bruce spent hours studying the artifact, his mind racing with questions. He pored over data readouts, cross-referencing them with Emma's earlier findings. As the pieces began to fall into place, a chill ran down his spine. "This can't be right," he muttered, double-checking his calculations. Bruce burst into the council chamber, interrupting a heated debate between Human and Una's leaders. "We have a problem," he announced, his voice cutting through the din. He laid out his findings, explaining the true nature of the artifact and its connection to a vast network of similar devices. If this falls into the wrong hands, the consequences could be catastrophic, Bruce warned. The room erupted into arguments. Some called for the artifact's immediate destruction, while others saw it as a potential weapon to use against their enemies. As the debate raged on, Bruce noticed a group of council members huddled in the corner, speaking in hushed tones. He caught snippets of their conversation. Negotiate, trade, invaders. His blood ran cold as the pieces fell into place. Bruce slipped out of the chamber, his mind racing. He had to act fast. Under cover of darkness, Bruce made his way to the artifact storage facility. He disabled the security systems with practiced ease, his heart pounding in his chest. As he approached the pedestal, he hesitated for a moment, weighing the consequences of his actions. With a deep breath, he deactivated the force field and grabbed the artifact. Alarms blared throughout the facility as Bruce sprinted towards the hangar bay. He commandeered a small scout ship, blasting out of the docking bay just as security forces converged on his position. As he punched in the coordinates for his first jump, Bruce cast one last look at the Alliance headquarters, knowing he might never see it again. The chase was on, and Bruce Hunter found himself alone against the combined might of friend and foe alike.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.